This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Welcome, listeners. This podcast is safe for first-time readers because it's made by a first-time reader. I'm your host, Dani, and I'm the one who's taken on the task of reading through this 15-book mega-series. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into our episode today, we just want to thank and welcome Brett Ziegler to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. Thank you so much for your support and your generosity. It really means a lot to us. This episode, we're going to be talking about Chapter 50, Meetings at the Eye.
Yeah, and we get into a little bit of action here.
Oh my gosh, so much action that it was really confusing and I had no idea what was going on.
Okay, so I can help there, so
yeah,
that's okay.
Well, I reread it, and then when I went through and did my notes and everything, it started to make a bit more sense.
Okay.
But my initial read-through, I just went, what's happening? This is just nuts. I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, everything happens pretty quick too, but we'll get into that. And as promised for today's fun fact, I dug up the information on where the words noon and midday come from.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had said you're trying to implement that, but
I forgot.
It's not going so well.
Yep.
Okay, so are you ready for it?
Yeah, I am. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but etymology is really interesting to me. So you might not find this interesting, but for me, so I'll start with the boring version of where the word midday comes from.
Yeah.
So it does mean middle of the day.
No way.
It does, and it gets better. It's from Old English, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, middaig. And it's spelled M-I-D-D-A-E with the A and E squished together.
Oh, yeah.
G.
Okay.
And that literally means mid is a contraction of middle in Old English, and daig, or daig,
means
day. Yeah. So it means midday. And that's where we got it from. Now, where we get the word noon from is a little bit more in detail. It comes from a Latin word, nine, like the number. And that comes from Roman times because they used to count the hours of the day from sunrise, and the ninth hour, or nona hora, was about 3 p.m. I don't know, you might be thinking, that's not noon. 3 p.m. isn't noon.
No, it's not.
But what happened was the Christians adopted the Jewish customs of praying at certain hours, and there was a daily timetable drawn up on the hours of when to pray and which prayers happen at which times. And according to the earliest schedules, Christian monks were required to pray at 3-hour intervals. So 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, for that we know it, 3 p.m., sunset, at night, things like that. So the 6 a.m. was the first hour, 9 a.m. the third hour, noon was the sixth hour, and 3 p.m. was the ninth hour. And then what happened was around the 12th century, the prayers that were said at the ninth hour, or 3 p.m., which were called the nona prayers, were bumped back to the sixth hour. So then noon, or nona, just became the noon time or middle of the day prayers. And that's where we get noon for ninth. Because the ninth hour prayers were bumped back to the sixth hour prayers, and that's how it worked.
Okay.
So, like much of English, it doesn't actually make any sense.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Etymology.
And with its base in religion.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Which is why I like midday much more than I like noon.
Because it's just a direct translation of middle of the day.
Yeah, I like that way better. And you say midnight. Midnight is commonplace. To say 12 a.m. is midnight.
Yeah.
So why can't you say midday as 12 p.m.? I think that's what people should say.
The funny part about was the nighttime prayers were called the vigils, which is where the word vigilant comes from. Because you're staying awake.
You gotta be vigilant.
Yes.
Because they're always trying to get you.
Exactly. All right, so that's enough about words.
Yes.
And we have some stuff to get into here.
Yeah, we do. You sort of skirted the idea of a fact about these books or the author in any way.
Well, to be fair, it makes sense why they call it midday in the books, not noon.
No, they call it noon in the books.
Did they? I thought they called it midday.
Nope. That's why I was upset about it.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I'm over it. And
Yeah.
I really want to get into talking about this chapter.
I guess we have to let some things slide, right?
Sure. So, chapter 50, Meetings at the Eye. And there's a picture of the leafy vines.
And we now know what that is. It's the Avendosora leaves.
The Avendasora leaves.
Yeah, we found that out because we saw that in the Ways.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our crew is in the Blight right now, off to see the eye, the wonderful eye of the world. We're off to see the eye.
Yeah.
The wonderful eye. No. Okay.
Well, we talked about the whole eye maybe being a magic man behind a curtain.
Yeah. That's why my joke is funny. And so, excellent jokes aside, they were being attacked by trees and chased by worms, and Rand had some sort of channeling event and made the Green Man see their need and come to them.
Yeah, well, we definitely got that implication.
Definitely. And so now they are being brought to the Eye.
Yeah. Plus, don't forget, we had that really weird interaction with the Green Man where he saw into the souls of the people.
Yes.
Or whatever, I don't know how we wanted to find that right now.
Yeah.
But he definitely saw through them into who they are.
Right, because right off the bat, Rand actually notes in this chapter that Perrin is sort of hanging back, he doesn't want to interact with the Green Man again because of all the wolf stuff.
Yeah.
That makes Perrin uneasy as it is.
Yeah, and
so,
we're not going to talk about that, though.
No, and Rand gets it because he doesn't understand all that dragon stuff that the Green Man said about him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really want to know either.
Yeah, we're just not going to talk about it.
No time now. So Rand notes how he is feeling, and the whole, burning points piercing his bones thing has winked out.
Did you have any thoughts on that? Because we heard that last chapter, we got that description.
Well, that sounds like the channeling event.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that's what you thought it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Okay.
And Rand thinks it's winked out because of the Green Man and this place.
Yeah.
But I think it winked out because he channeled successfully. Because he did something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other way I was going to look at that is wondering, is this place, the Green Man's domain, something like a steading?
Oh.
Because, the steading and the Green Man and the
we learned this
Ogier,
chapter that no.
It's not a steading because you
not.
can definitely channel in here, but steading-like or akin to. Just because they're similarities in the peacefulness when everyone enters.
Yes, maybe, but
so.
I definitely think that power can be channeled here.
Yes.
Especially after finishing this chapter.
I agree.
So Nynaeve and Egwene and Moraine all get flowers in their hair as they walk, and everything seems so lovely.
Yeah.
And Rand thinks Egwene is just so pretty, and he thinks he'll protect her and promises himself that he will keep her safe.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me, in the description, it explains, Rand's incredulity at the fact that these flowers are, still growing in their hair. And it's why is this the unbelievable part to you?
Yeah.
Everything you've just seen and experienced, and you're oh, the big giant Green Man is making the flowers still grow in their hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as they arrive at the side of a hill, they see an arched opening, and above the arch is the ancient symbol of the Aes Sedai.
Yes. And we've seen that before.
Right. So that's the half black, half white.
Yes.
With the sinuous line.
Yin yang. That's what Luce Theron was wearing in the prologue.
Embroidered on his cloak.
Yes.
Right. And so Matt starts to feel uneasy a bit and asks if they have time to see the Tree of Life instead. So that's the Avendasora.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And the Green Man gives Rand an odd look.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend is an idiot. That kind of look.
Okay.
Or is he looking to Rand who are these people that you're with? Don't they know anything?
But why would the Green Man look at Rand?
Well, Rand clearly is something to do with the dragon in the Green Man's eyes.
Yep.
So clearly, older and would know more.
Okay.
Because then he says that the Vendasora isn't here.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say to that is, if you remember what the Green Man specifically said to Rand last chapter, he said, "Strange clothes you wear, child of the dragon. Has the wheel turned so far? Do the people of the dragon return to the first covenant? But you wear a sword, and that is neither now nor then." So it's almost as if Rand is reminding the Green Man of something.
Yeah.
And something's not connecting the dots here. And we got a really confused reaction from Rand, which made the Green Man really confused as well.
Yeah.
So we can definitely assume the Green Man is confused.
Right.
That's all we can really say at this point.
Yeah. Well, because he goes, well, Avendasora isn't here.
Yeah.
And he hasn't rested beneath its branches in almost 2,000 years. And so Moraine just like shuts all of this down and says that the tree is not why they came, and this arch is.
And also that means the Green Man's been alive for like 2,000 years.
Oh, at least.
At least.
Well, it sounds like he's been around since like the beginning, because he even knows about the Wolf brother stuff.
Yeah, so
right?
A long time.
Long time. Oh, yeah, and you definitely get the feeling with the way he like moves and talks that he's one of those old, wise, all-knowing sort of beings.
Yes.
So, conveniently, this is Moraine changing the subject, and we get a little bit more information about Avendusora, and then abruptly, no more information. That's for another book, I assume. And now it's story time with the Green Man.
And you're pointing at me like that's my cue?
Yep.
Okay. So, number one thing, he can feel himself being unmade because he knows his end is linked somehow with the Eye of the World.
Yeah.
And maybe that's similar to the power for him to like see into the souls of people. He just like knows stuff. So, but what we do here is that he remembers how it was made, which means that the Eye of the World is a creation and it's not necessarily a natural thing in a sense.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right? And the way I kind of like to think of the Eye of the World, and we'll get into this later this chapter, is kind of like Mount Rushmore, because it's like a natural thing that was carved to serve a purpose.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I think the Eye of the World, it's a natural place that has a purpose that was made.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison.
Yeah. So we learned that this Eye of the World was made in the first days of the breaking, and he says when the joy of victory turns sour, because they presumably defeated the Dark One, but the counterstroke tainted Saidin, so that made everybody go crazy. All the males go crazy. So it's like we won, but we still might lose everything.
Ah, no.
Yeah. So 100 men and women joined together, Aes Sedai, and they joined Saidin and Saidar.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to note that men and women can actually like combine their power together to create stuff.
And I actually think that this is the first mention of Saidar.
Yeah, because we do know that the women's and the men's power are different sources.
They are, yeah.
Saidin and Saidar, right? So
yes.
I'll give you the glossary definition if that works.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now's the time for it.
Little impromptu.
Yep. It's time for glossary definitions with Brett.
So, Saidin and Saidar are part of the True Source, and the True Source is the driving force of the universe, which turns the wheel of time. It is divided into the male half, Saidin, and the female half, Saidar, which work at the same time with and against each other. Only a man can draw on Saidin, only a woman on Saidar. And since the beginning of the time of madness, Saidin has been tainted by the Dark One's touch.
Okay.
And the Green Man mentions that the greatest works always involved both sides of the power. Which, I mean, kind of makes sense, where if you can make something better using two parts of a whole.
Right.
So the 100 Aes Sedai all died to make it pure, and at this point we don't know what it still is. So you know that it's something to do with something, but you don't know what it is.
Uh-huh. Very sort of cryptic.
Yes. Yeah. And the Aes Sedai knew that they would all die making this basically pool of Saidin pure.
And they sacrificed
themselves. And they charged the Green Man with the task to guard it against the need to come. And that's very into the whole Moraine aspect of things, where it's all about the need.
Right.
And we also learned that this specific task of guarding the eye was not what the Green Man was made for, but he was all that they had. And maybe it's also helpful that he could like see into the souls of people to like know what their true intention is, and maybe that all kind of links together with finding this place in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Because then he says that he will see them when they come out if there is time.
And it's like, time for what?
Yeah, this is very ominous.
Yes.
Like he knows basically it's his end and something's about to happen. He can feel it.
Yeah, and Moraine has been pushing them, we don't have time.
Yeah.
So I feel like they are in on some aspect of information that everyone else is like excluded from.
Yeah. Okay, but at this point, Matt demands to know what the Green Man means by that, but Moraine ignores him and leads them in through the archway.
Yes.
But I think this is a little bit of a hint of Matt's cursedness.
It's ramping up again?
Coming back. Because we knew it was going to.
Yeah.
And they put off going to Tarvalin to actually heal him fully.
And almost every time he talks now, it's demanding.
Yes.
So just like how we saw that ramp up last time in the first part of the book.
It's continuing now again. So as they walk in, the hairs on Rand's arm and neck stir uneasily, and they walk through this large corridor with polished walls, and he notes that his skin is crawling.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that's just like a feeling, or do you think it's more than that?
I think it's a feeling.
Okay.
But I think it's more than that.
Okay.
I think it's a important feeling.
Well, we also know the last time he was led down like a dark tunnel, it didn't end so well.
I don't think that's it. I don't think he's sensing
Logoth?
danger. No.
Okay.
I think he is sensing the power that's coming from this place.
Okay.
That's what I think. Because he clearly can channel, and he has some wielding over this power in some way, whether it's crude or whether he actually might have some unconscious power over it or something. I don't know. I'm not really making any sense. But what I'm trying to say is he can feel and sense.
Somehow he's connecting with the giant pool at the bottom.
That's right.
Okay.
So the corridor opens to a large domed cavern that has a bunch of like glowing crystals all around, and it has a large pool in the ground in the shape of an oval eye.
Yeah, so the Eye of the World is a swimming pool. It's great.
Nope.
They've come all this way.
I would not go swimming in this pool.
Go for a little dip?
Nope.
Okay.
But the water is smooth and clear, but Rand can't see any bottom to it, and Maureen confirms that this is the Eye of the World.
Yes.
Boom. Title of the book.
There we go. We finally got there.
Finally. Oh my god. So this is less exciting than I thought?
Okay, that's fair. I can understand that.
Like no snakes or anything?
Nope. No snake, no talking snake, no man behind a curtain.
Yeah, just a pool of water.
Doesn't seem to be like a Eye of Sauron that they talk to.
Nope.
So.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not really. Nope.
It's a swimming pool.
Yeah. So Rand notes that this is clearly very old. Some of the crystals are not shining as bright as they once had. There's like dust on this walkway all around the pool. And Matt wants to know what it is, and he kicks a rock into the pool.
Yeah, good job, Matt.
It hits the water without a splash and then sinks in without a ripple, and the stone grows in size as it sinks down out of sight.
Yeah, so it could just be like the distortion of looking through it, kind of the way you look at something going into a pool.
I don't think that's what it is. No. Nope.
You think that this pool... Okay.
I think it's magical, Brett.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
well, we know it's magical.
I don't think it's regular water.
What would happen if a person did jump into it?
Gone.
Gone?
Yeah.
Expand and then disappear?
Well, probably into some void.
Yeah.
It seems kind of bottomless.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I think someone should push someone into it and see what happens.
Who would you sacrifice?
Well, at this point, Matt, because he's so curious. What is it? What is it? What is it?
I don't know, Matt. Put your hand in it.
Matt demands to know again, and I wrote village idiot at this point.
You know what? It's not his fault 100% at this point.
No, and now he's back to being suspicious and skeptical and not trusting anything. And if you're not going to trust anything, maybe this weirdo magic pool of water is one of those things
that
not
you shouldn't
to trust.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but you probably shouldn't be kicking things into it if you don't know what it is.
Also probably true.
Yeah. So Maureen says that it is the essence of Sidin.
And I just want to highlight that because she doesn't say it is Sidin. It's like the essence of.
Right.
Not the actual...
It's like what remains of the male half of the power or true source, but it's pure.
Yes.
It's not tainty.
Which is important, I suppose, because it doesn't have like a taintiness to it.
Yeah, the pure, untainted essence. And it has the power to mend and seal the Dark One's prison or break it open completely.
And second question, do you think that that's an actual true statement or just what she believes to be true? because we've gotten reference to the whole Dark One's prison kind of sounding like it's an actual thing, sort of sounding like it might be just hypothetical prison, right?
Yeah.
So,
no, it sounds real.
Okay.
It sounds like it's a real thing. Like the seal is clearly magical, and there's clearly figures of people and a Dark One bound somewhere. Especially knowing what happens at the end of this chapter.
Okay.
If you had asked me this when I was in the middle of this chapter, I don't know if I'd have a solid answer for you because it's still so...
convoluted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, actually.
But it is important to note that Lan and Moraine have definitely been here before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
100%.
They know exactly what it is and what it looks like and...
And not just like to the Green Man's domain. Like they've totally come down here at some point.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe she scooped up some of the water... and took some of the power
in
with
a flask?
her. Yeah, a little, one of those bottles that souvenir that you keep sand in or something.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that idea.
Yeah, and then you just take it with you.
Okay, and do what with it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Find someone who can channel the male.
And then
give
it to him. Yeah.
Make him drink it.
You'd probably need
Question mark?
Oh, maybe.
Well, how do you get it in you?
That's okay. That sounds oddly sexual.
You gotta get the power
inside of you.
That's not tainted, though.
Yeah. Drinking seems the logical way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rand and Mat have backed away from it and pressed themselves against the stone wall as if to get away from it.
Yeah, kind of unconsciously, get away from the big scary pool of power.
Right. I think Rand is backing away from it because he can sense the power. And originally I thought, maybe that means Mat actually can channel too and just hasn't had any episodes.
Okay.
But I'm leaning more towards he's just really skeptical of it.
Yeah.
He's very suspicious at this point, and he saw what happened with the rock, and so now he's like, oh shit, and trying to back away from it. Because Perrin doesn't back away from it in the same way that they do.
Yeah.
It's noted that Mat and Rand do.
We have seen Perrin become more strong-willed.
Yeah. More Lan-like.
Lan-like, yeah. So it's hard to say exactly why, just being in Rand's perspective.
Right. So Loyal asks why it was built, and Moraine says that no one living knows. But she is watching the boys for their reactions.
Yeah.
So apparently, many women in Tar Valon have tried to use it, but it is unreachable for women.
Yeah.
And only men can channel it.
So that's kind of like confirmation that women cannot touch the male half of the true source, and you could probably assume vice versa is also true.
Yes.
And also it's important that Tar Valon Aes Sedai have come here, studied it, tried to use it somehow, maybe tried to bottle it up and take it.
Yep.
But doesn't sound like anything's worked so well.
Right. And I think that might be why Moraine was here before.
Okay, yeah.
Because she is very sure of this fact, and she sort of veils the way she says it. Some women in Tar Valon have tried to use it.
And she could be that some
Absolutely
woman in Tar Valon.
Absolutely she could.
Yeah.
And we know, I said I can't lie, but they have a way
of twisting the truth.
Saying things, right. So I also think that this is why she is so intense about having these boys come with her. I think she wants one of them to use it.
Okay.
I think that's why they're here right now.
For resealing the Dark One's prison?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully. Presumably.
Yeah, or mending it.
Right.
Okay.
Or...
breaking it open?
Doubtful.
Okay. She's not a secret bad guy?
No.
Okay. No. That was a question I asked you way early in the book. Is she a good guy or a bad guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So if I was a bad guy, I would totally pretend to be a good guy to get everyone there.
Right.
And then use the power.
But you're a bad actor.
That's true, I am. I'm
so
not good.
You wouldn't be a very good bad guy.
I have got no major roles in any movies.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Maybe one day.
I'm leaning a little bit towards that whole the Aes Sedai will use you stuff.
Go on. Okay.
Because when Baelzemon was talking to the boys in the dream, specifically Rand, they were told that the Aes Sedai would use you like they used the others.
Did they tell you that the eye of the world would serve you?
Right.
It won't serve you.
And I'm trying to link it all together, and I feel like I have this detective murder board out, and I have like
You're like putting strings to each.
from Baal-Zaman to the Eye of the World to Rand to Aes Sedai and Logain, and I'm trying to just...
Is Moraine like a bunch of question marks around her?
Yeah, I'm just trying to like figure this all out, because I know there's an answer and a solution here. It's just not quite coming together because we just don't quite have enough information.
Not quite there.
I know it's all related and all connected, and I do think that Aes Sedai will use men who can channel, but I don't know what for.
Okay, yeah.
That's my problem right now.
That's the tough question.
Right.
But again, Moraine reiterates the fact that male and females working together
Makes
to
it
accomplish
stronger.
something make it better.
Yeah.
That's impossible with just one half of the source.
Right. Okay, so Rand is starting to catch on, I think, and he asks why she has brought them there.
Yes.
And she says, because you are Ta'veren, and the Dark One's powers will strike here. And then she says that they should go out into the sunlight while there is still time yet.
So let's look at this time frame. They get to the Green Man's place.
Yep.
They meet him. He brings them to the archway down to the Eye of the World. They go down the tunnel.
They look at it,
and now they're heading out.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I know. I don't know. I was annoyed when she's like, let's leave now.
All
I was
right.
like, what?
Time to go.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't even wait for an answer, and she just walks out. And I just said, oh, man, like, I really wanted to see Rand do something crazy here.
Okay.
I thought, like, this was the moment.
Do something. Put your face in it.
Yeah. Or, like, maybe he'd go, like, woo, and then, like, channel the power, and it would be all, like, mystical.
It'd be like a Aladdin version of, like, the magic swirling around you.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what I expected, but just leaving was not what I expected.
So the only thing I can really say to that is, again, it seems like Moraine knows a lot more. And
much.
she knows that there's a time frame for everything.
Yeah.
Because she keeps saying, we're running out of time, we're out of time, we're running out of time.
Yes.
So
Rand is just like shaking here and basically scrambles to get out of there as fast as he can with Matt and Perrin, who are also like scrambling to get out of there. And then once they get out into the sunlight, Nynaeve is annoyed.
Yep.
About everything.
Yeah, she doesn't like it.
This is too dangerous.
She doesn't like Moraine. She doesn't like where they've been brought. She doesn't like anything.
Doesn't like it. And then we hear a voice. Uh-oh. I have found you at last.
And originally when you heard that line, what did you think?
So I have to tell you, it didn't really register as someone else.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think this started to be the most confusing for me because I was sort of caught up in the whole, wait, they're leaving?
Yeah.
Wasn't something supposed to happen
We're not
here?
doing anything down there?
And then there's just, it's just a line in quotations that says,
I have found you at last.
right.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so it could have come from anyone. I didn't immediately think it was anything sinister, but then Rand immediately like freezes in fear and thinks of Baal-Zaman, which is logical to think of.
Yeah, because that's the main dude he's been interacting with. And it is funny to note that if you listen to the audiobooks, then
they change the voice.
They change the voice.
Gotcha.
Right? But if you're reading it, there is literally nothing besides the line.
Yes.
There's no indication
There's
that
nothing.
it's anyone that we haven't
And
met.
I think this is why I was so confused, because I was still waiting for Rand to do something or something to happen.
Yeah.
And two men here walk out of the trees, but they aren't Fades, they aren't Baal-Zaman, and even Lan at this point asks, who are you?
Like he's not really sure.
No,
it's not
and
an immediate threat.
It concerns me that Lan doesn't know who people are.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad news bears. This was the first alert where I was like, oh, something else is happening.
Yeah.
And I had to maybe reread this.
It's kind of like when that Fade showed up in the middle of Whitebridge and you're like, oh my god.
There's a Fade.
What? Because it was snuck into the middle of a paragraph?
Yeah. So Lan wants to know how they came here, and one of them says that Matt guided them here.
Yeah, points a finger.
A knobbly old finger at Matt, and I just immediately think, God, that damn dagger.
Yeah, there you go.
Draws evil to him.
So Moraine, as best she could, tried to, like...
Protect?
Yeah, put a protective covering over it, but it's not working 100%.
Mm-mm. Because this guy says that Matt is an old thing, an old friend, and an old enemy?
So he doesn't say Matt.
Because he's pointing to Matt.
He's pointing, it says he guided us, and then it's like separate train of thought.
Okay.
An old thing, an old friend, an old enemy, but he is not the one we seek.
Okay.
So that Shatter Logoth evil radius emanating from the dagger that Matt's carrying, right? It would be coming from his person. Yeah. That would be the old enemy, because we know that the Shatter Logoth is an old enemy.
Right.
But Matt's not the one they seek.
No. Okay. I'm still confused, but I'm just going to move on, because I don't think I'm ever going to get that one.
Okay. Well, you will at some point.
Yeah, not now, though.
Not now. No. That's okay.
Moraine draws herself up at this point and demands, "Who are you?"
She's definitely pulling out some magic here.
Yeah.
To make herself...
she's trying, yeah. And so the two dudes push back their hoods, and one is super old looking, like older than old, and the other has some strange face covering. Yes,
he's wearing like a face mask.
Okay, so this thing, the way it's described in the book...
A tight black leather carapace covered that one's head and face completely.
Yeah, so when you Google carapace, it actually gives you a bunch of images of turtle shells.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's, and the turtle shell is a protective covering.
Yeah.
So this dude is wearing a protective covering that's like got a painted on face.
And I can't help but picture that he's got this turtle shell mask with like eyes drawn on it.
And maybe like a blue bandana over the eyes.
Oh, blue. You went for, what's his name?
Leonardo.
Mm-hmm. I was a Michelangelo gal.
Okay.
Cowabunga, dudes!
Yeah, there you go. And no one was a Donatello fan?
I like Donatello only because I like purple, though.
He's very techie.
Yeah.
He's a smart one.
Mm-hmm. And no one wants to talk about Raphael?
No. We're good.
He's red.
It was cool.
I bet the Ninja Turtles could have helped them here.
Maybe. Well, probably, actually. They're pretty good at getting out of sticky.
All of our, like, 90s heroes. Like, call in the Power Rangers.
And the Gargoyles and the Street Sharks.
Yeah. Biker Mice from Mars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pizza Cats.
I don't know that one.
That was a good one.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, back to, like, the really scary stuff happening.
Yeah, so this is a bad situation.
This is really, really bad. So, the one old guy is called Agenor.
Yes.
And the other one is Balthamel.
Yeah, Balthamel. So, the whole mask thing is, it sounds like he's wearing it because he's so old that...
his face fell off.
So, Rand kind of has that thought, like, what's underneath there if the other one isn't hiding his oldness?
Yeah.
So...
And then we learned that he also doesn't speak with his tongue because they have been imprisoned for 3,000 years.
Yeah. So,
and I went, oh, the Forsaken.
Yes. And this is really important to the whole philosophy because we've heard since the beginning of the book that the Dark One and the Forsaken are bound in Shale Ghul at the moment of creation by the Creator.
Right.
And we also heard Moraine and Lan say, well, that's not exactly true.
Yeah.
And now we know that that, in fact, is not true.
Not true.
That's not how it happens, but they've been imprisoned for 3,000 years since the breaking of the world. And it does sound like their prison is a physical place, but also sort of out of time and space as well.
Yeah.
Because they were bound close to the surface or closest to
the world?
The world, yeah. And you have to kind of think of it like in a philosophical sense almost.
Yeah.
Like they were bound too close. So there's
What's that Superman thing where the guy gets put in like a box and then he's like sent into space?
Or like a flat disc? I don't know. I don't know Superman very well.
I only know it because it was parodied on like Family Guy or something.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So something like that.
Yeah, we got to turn to our comic book nerd friends
Yes.
who could help us with that. Because that's my idea of what's happened to the Forsaken.
Yeah. And also important to note that they are kind of talking to themselves too. And he says, so long without, that they seem to feel the presence of the eye and that giant pool of Sidene. So being like locked away in this Shale Ghoul prison means that they haven't been able to channel the power for so long.
Right.
And now they're like itching to go and get that power.
Okay. Because it turns out the seals on the prisons are weakening, and some of the Forsaken are no longer bound.
Yes.
And then we get a name we've already heard.
Yes, we know Ishamael.
And he's one of them, apparently, who has escaped.
Well, he doesn't phrase it like that.
Oh, that's what I thought.
So he says, we're bound. Some of us are bound no longer. The seals weaken. Like Ishamael, we walk the world again.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's already been out.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah. Because we've also got Ishamael as Elon from the prologue. Because he was the betrayer of hope.
Oh.
We got that connection a couple chapters ago.
Right, okay. And now the father of lies is Baal-Zaman?
Yes, that's still convoluted because Baal-Zaman is like the dark one, but might not be the dark one.
Right.
Where it's kind of like they're one and the same, but not really.
But like the dark one's presence in the world, but not actually the dark one.
Yeah.
It's seeming weird, but Ishamael and the Betrayer of Hope and
Elon from the prologue,
they're all one and the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got that connection by names.
Right.
So as long as the names carry forward, then that's
Okay. So the Great Lord of the Dark is almost free, and they will have no Luz, Theron, Telamon to save them this time.
Which makes sense from what we got before.
Yeah. So they know the one they seek, and there is no need for the rest of them basically to be hurt.
So when you just said that you didn't understand when they said to Matt, you are not the one we seek.
I sort of got that
Yeah.
part. I got that part. I didn't get the whole old enemy, old friend,
Gotcha.
old thing. I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
I got that they didn't seek Matt. And so initially, I think after they say there's no Luz Telamon, who is the nickname the Dragon.
Yep.
And then they say, now we know the one we seek because you won't have a Luz Theramon.
Luz, Theron. Call him LTT.
Yeah, I'm
there
just going to call him Luz, Buddy Luz.
Yeah. So there's no Luz, Theron, Telamon this time.
Right. And he knows the one he seeks. So I immediately think, well, it must be Rand.
Because Rand is
Probably the Dragon Reborn.
the child of the dragon.
Child of the Dragon. Okay.
The Green Man just referred to him as
He
child
did
of the
do
dragon.
that. But at the same time, later on in this chapter, when he's talking about we have what we seek, it sort of seems like he's referring to the eye of the world.
No, he says we know the one we seek.
At this point,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But later on, he sort of says it. Maybe I'll touch on it when we get there. But, okay, so it sounds like it's Rand.
That's what it's pointing to at
That's
this
what
point.
it sounds like. So Lan draws his sword quickly, but hesitates.
Yeah.
For a second. Because
This is one of the biggest. This is like as big as Who Shot First.
this is bad. This isn't a good thing that happens. There's no specific mention of which way he was going to move.
Exactly.
So, it doesn't matter though.
Of course it matters.
Here's why it doesn't matter.
Okay.
The hesitation mattered.
Okay.
It didn't matter which way he was going to go. Because he hesitated, he was a moment too late.
Do you think he actually was a moment too late, or do you think there was any chance of him actually getting to this dude who literally flicks his finger and blows Lan back across the forest
Well,
into
then
a wall?
none of it matters if we're going to get into it. Like, why even discuss it? None of it matters if he hesitated.
I don't
or
know.
not.
So there's three ways he could have moved. He could have moved towards Moraine. He could have moved towards Nynaeve. He could have moved towards the Forsaken.
Yeah.
Pick a direction. What side are you on?
I'm kind of hoping that he moved to Moraine.
Okay.
Did you think I was going to say that? What did you think I was going to say?
I didn't actually think about what you were going to say.
Oh.
I just wanted to hear what you were going to say.
Does it surprise you to hear
No.
that I think he should have gone to Moraine?
Do you have a rationale behind that?
He's bonded to protect her.
Okay.
That's his duty.
Yeah.
That's what he has to do.
And we do know that he did hesitate previously. We didn't get to see the result of what was going to happen.
No, but we got the scolding.
We did, yeah.
And I'm hoping he was going to Moraine, but I think he was going to Nynaeve, which is bad.
Yes.
I think there are repercussions to warders who don't protect their Aes Sedai.
Probably.
And
I think
it
that's
might
fair to
be
say.
being flicked by a Forsaken to smash into a wall and collapse.
Yeah, that's like a pretty bad repercussion.
That was bad.
Okay.
That was a bad hesitation.
But I also think it's important to note, like, that's what the power can do to someone with a sword, right? Lan is the best of the best of the best.
But he doesn't have control over the power, so therefore power wins.
Power wins every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that the Green Man noted that Rand has a sword.
Yes, and he said that's neither then nor now.
Like, that's weird that someone of the dragon who can channel, presumably...
Yeah, so maybe that's kind of the
sword.
connection. Why would they need to?
Yeah.
Like, if you can channel, why would you ever need to carry a sword?
Yeah, when you can just
like,
flick someone with your finger.
Yeah.
You can, like, you can force choke them.
Yeah.
If you want. Totally Darth Vader their ass.
Well, Darth Vader uses a lightsaber.
Not really.
Not at
only
the end.
when he needs to. Only when he's facing someone else who can also use the power. But then he also... The Force.
It's all the same. It's all the same universe, we know. Yeah. Yeah.
But...
You're telling me that we're not going to have, like, a little robot come in and save the day? I don't buy it.
Beep boop, beep boop. That's my R2-D2. Was it okay?
Wow!
Yeah, that's better. And how's your Chewbacca?
Oh, it's not good.
Okay.
Yeah. Not even going to try that.
But at least you have R2 down.
Yeah.
That's more important. Okay, so Lan gets flicked aside like he's a fly being shooed.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve shouts no, and Moraine commands her to be still. But Nynaeve has her wimpy belt knife out, running at the Forsaken like a dumb idiot.
And I think it's important to note here that Balthamel literally lets Nynaeve get up close enough so he can face grab her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he missed the pleasures of the flesh.
Yeah.
Right.
Very inappropriate.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's a little bit dark, but...
And it kind of sounds like the Black Wind.
Okay, how so? What do you mean?
Well, they were like wanting pleasure in the flesh.
Oh yeah, skin
right?
so sweet and blood
blood and blood, gross. But Aegonor says he almost forgot the pleasures of the flesh. So that's just where that
it's just kind of like
comes from.
It's an evil conversation that evil people would totally have.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so suddenly Egwene moves,
Yeah.
and Rand realizes that she's running to help Nynaeve.
Come on, everyone.
God, and so he runs and crashes into her basically to stop her. But Perrin and Matt also want to help Nynaeve, and Perrin has out his axe, but Matt has his dagger out.
Yeah.
So not his bow and arrow anymore.
Like he did in the Blight in the forest. Yeah.
Literally, I don't know, an hour ago.
It could have been. Could have been a couple hours.
Okay,
could
but it was like today.
Yeah.
And now he's got his dagger out, so I think that's just a sign of things moving for Matt.
It's progressing, yeah.
Back to being cursed, back to being an asshole.
And I also kind of get the whole, like, we have to try and fight back, but there's got to be a better way here.
And now Rand yells at them, they can't fight the Forsaken. And I want to know, why does he know that, but no one else seems to? Is he the only one thinking logically?
Is he keeping his wits about him?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or does he have an innate idea of fighting Forsaken? Or maybe he heard it in a book somewhere and he's only thinking smarter than everyone else?
And I don't even know if it's like that deep. Like, he just saw Lan, who's the best of the best, get tossed.
Yeah.
Like a child, basically.
So basically he's the only one thinking logically.
That's what it sounds like. Because everyone's like rushing at the Forsaken.
They didn't even mention the Flame in the Void here. Which is weird because that's been the go-to to mention in the writing over and over and over. We've gotten that really drilled into us, this Flame and Void.
And we don't see it
and
here.
Sometimes he gets it, and sometimes it eludes him, or whatever. But we get zero mention about it, so it's like we don't even know his headspace.
Yeah, so that's probably important to remember, too.
Yeah, maybe he just like doesn't have to search for it or think of it anymore, and it just comes to him. Like, the more you practice something, the better you get at it, and you can
That's
just,
true.
like, react.
But I think that we would get a mention of that
I think so, too.
if he just, like, found it easily.
Yeah. It would be like, whoa! That was good!
But it seems to be, like, the void to him seems to be something he focuses on and tries to attain.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even go for it.
Right. It sounds like it's found him.
Okay, all right.
Ooh.
I see what you're doing. Okay.
So the Forsaken look at the men running at them, and I said boys in my notes, and then I changed it to men, because I'm like Nynaeve.
Oh,
you
yeah.
compared me to Nynaeve, remember?
That's true.
So now I'm like Nynaeve, and I call them men instead of boys. So they're running at them, and cause them to stop and fall to the ground.
Well, he puts up a air wall, and they run into it.
And they fall down. Yeah.
Hilarious.
It is a little bit of a gag.
It's kind of like this guy is so powerful that these people are a joke.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it is. He lets Nynaeve run up to him so he can face grab her.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
So Aegonor says to worship them, like the Forsaken, and maybe he will let them live. He has what he has been looking for. And this is when he looks to the stone archway.
That's what you're talking about.
And that's what makes me think that what he's been looking for is actually the Eye of the World. But he needed this inn to get to the Green Man and the Eye of the World. And Matt and his dagger led them here.
Yeah.
So there was a sort of mention about Luz and what he's been looking for. And now there's a mention of the Eye of the World and what he's been looking for.
Yeah.
So maybe it's both.
It does seem that it's... But again, we've heard the Dark One's plan was to blind the Eye of the World.
Yeah.
So it seems like the original plan, or like the A plan, is the Eye of the World, and like the B plan is who they've been looking for.
Okay. So they have what they're looking for and who they're looking for.
All in the same place.
That's sort of what we've got.
Yeah.
So I'm double right.
Double right.
So the Green Man shows up here to their rescue.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
And again, this
really
is...
sad, too.
This is a Hopper all over again.
It really is.
You introduce us to a character, you make us love him and fall in love with this character and who he is and his backstory, and then you take him away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into this death scene.
Yeah. Except, you know what we did forget to mention? That Nynaeve was thrown down with her eyes staring, kind of like she's dead.
Oh, yeah. Don't want to forget about that.
Like, we didn't even talk about that. By the way, Nynaeve might be dead in the corner,
There's
and we're talking about the sad Green Man death.
But again, if you don't see them die, they're not necessarily
we did.
dead.
We saw her fall to the ground lifeless with her eyes open staring.
You don't think she'd get, like, Lan waking up and running over to her?
I don't think either of them are dead. I think that's why we haven't talked about it.
Okay.
Like, we didn't touch on it. But the writing at this point makes you a little bit question.
That's true, yeah.
If they're...
It totally can be Nynaeve is dead situation.
It seemed like that when she fell down.
Yeah.
Who's alive, limp on the ground, eyes open and staring?
Yeah, not many people.
Not many.
Yeah.
I don't believe they're killing off Nynaeve right now, and I think that's why it was so easily glazed over.
Okay. I'm okay with that for now.
But the Green Man, oh no!
Yeah. Because we know he for sure dies.
Yeah, he does, for sure. So, he says, "This shall not be. You do not belong here." And Aegonor doesn't even care about the Green Man and says that all his kind are long gone and he should be too.
This is important.
There are other Green Men.
There were other Green Men.
Other Green Men. And
Yes.
I'd asked this question.
You did, and I asked if you thought that the Green Man maybe had a name, and you thought, well, he seems like a singular entity.
Yeah.
But we learn here that he was one of many.
At one point.
At one point, long, long ago.
He is one of many in this world now as we know him.
He's a singular entity.
But, yes.
But he used to not be, which is doubly sad, because this is the death of the last of his kind.
Yeah. Oh, extinct.
Yes.
Ugh. So the Green Man isn't having this at all, though. He says that this is his place, and they shall not hurt living things here.
Oh, you know what?
What?
This is the point when Nynaeve gets tossed.
Oh,
That's why we hadn't talked about it.
Okay.
All right. We don't have to feel so bad now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It is actually my next bullet point. Balthamel, that's a hard word to say, tosses Nynaeve aside, who crumples with her eyes staring. And I also actually have in my notes, I don't think she's dead. But he raises his hand, and the green man cries out as the smoke starts to rise from him.
So he's like just lighting this tree man on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is probably a pretty effective weapon against a plant.
Against a tree.
A tree man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of forest fires?
I have, and I heard they're bad.
They're destructive.
Yes.
So then, a big thing happens.
Yes.
The green man grabs this guy in a bear hug.
Which is like the best way to attack a Forsaken.
He like crushes him against his chest and lifts him up, and Balthamel sets the green man on fire, but then he doesn't let go.
Yeah, so like Balthamel is in this grip and he's grabbing the green man's head and like burning his head while the green man is trying to hug him to death, basically.
Yeah, crush him.
Yeah.
So all sorts of fungi and gross plants start just like growing out of the Forsaken.
Yeah. So the green man's using his make things grow power to like infest Balthamel and go into his body.
Yeah.
And sprout out through his pores, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, because he is thrown down and just like turns into this big gross still fungus.
Yeah. I just think of it like, you know, Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, I know
He
Groot.
can like make his arms become longer.
Sure.
And I just imagine like the green man is inserting himself into Balthamel's body.
Oh, you laughed because there was no way to say that not sexually.
There was no way to not say that, but he's like
because we did last chapter talk about the green man's penis.
We did.
And why he needs clothes.
That's true. Yeah. Whoops. Anyways, so that's what's happening.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, so it's this big. I picture this like dead log with like mushrooms and gross.
Yeah, and he's just like
growing
sprouting.
out of it.
Yeah. You have to assume that Balthamel's like insides are rotten.
So that's how you kill a Forsaken.
Just get a bunch of green men to hug them to death.
All right.
Yeah.
So the green man collapses down and pushes his hand on an acorn in the ground, and from it the tree starts growing and doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And finally, a huge, giant oak tree stands where the green man was, marking the tomb of a legend.
Yeah. And
now that's finality.
Honestly, I'm so excited for this event in the TV show because I want to see how they execute this.
Oh, it's good.
Because even Agenor in this scene, like everyone's just kind of watching this happen.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, when we read it back, Balthamel and Agenor don't even really pay attention to the Green Man.
No.
Because they're like, you should be dead already. All your other kind are dead.
Dust already.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest mistake is that Balthamel just doesn't even think the Green Man is worth attention.
Yeah.
And Agenor just watches his buddy die.
Yep.
And awesome death scene, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's a good one. And this is like those green burials where you can basically just have your body wrapped in like burlap and planted
and
with
turned into a tree.
With a tree planted on top of where you're buried, and that's your gravesite essentially. And I think that's beautiful and super environmentally friendly.
I want to be shot into the sun in a rocket.
I'm going to kick you into the sun.
It's a little Good Place reference.
It is, yeah, the dog kicked into the sun.
Yeah.
We've been watching that. Okay. But, interesting, the roots of this tree have grown carefully around where Nynaeve was lying to make a nice bed for her to rest on. And in the same sentence, almost, it says that the leaves sighed to say farewell.
Yes.
And I just say a little ominous, and maybe we're supposed to believe that Nynaeve is actually dead here.
Okay. You could also read that it's a sigh of farewell from
That's
the Green
what
Man.
I actually did. And then the second time I read through it and read about the whole making a bed for Nynaeve to rest on.
Yeah, because we got to see the Green Man walking through the forest, and he was like helping the plants as they went along.
Yes.
Like he loves every living thing.
Yeah.
So
even in his death, he creates this place for Nynaeve to rest until she wakes up.
Yes.
Right?
Crossing fingers.
Yeah. But Aegonor says, enough. Let's end this. And Moiraine agrees.
Yeah, I have to assume everyone was just kind of watching that happen.
Yeah.
Even Aegonor, and then everyone's like, oh shit.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right.
We're still doing stuff.
Yeah.
So Moiraine raises her hand and the ground drops under Aegonor's feet and flames shoot up from the chasm and Aegonor stands there supported by air.
Yeah.
And...
channeling.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he steps and then takes another step on nothing, like one of those air bridges we were talking about.
Exactly.
And then Moiraine just yells, run.
So this is the thing. We know that Moiraine is now facing down a Forsaken, which from our point of view, as like an Emmons Fielder, is basically our point of view. Forsaken are like out of legends and myths.
Yes.
As
Well,
like
everything that they've ever seen or fought along this way is out of a legend or a myth.
true, but this is the first legend/myth.
That's like the devil.
And a channeler also.
Yeah.
So we have to assume that Moiraine is throwing everything she has, and we know Moiraine is like a kind of a badass in the tower.
Yeah.
Everything she's got, she's probably throwing at Aegonor right now.
Yeah.
And it's doing nothing.
Right. And so everyone just starts running, and Rand sees that Egwene is standing there staring at Aegonor, not out of fear, but, quote, trying to throw her puny, untrained wielding of the power against the Forsaken.
And I gotta say, I love Egwene for this, because she's the kind of person who's not going to back away from a fight.
Trying so hard. And
She
you know,
is.
Moiraine did say she has the potential to be
Like the strongest.
the strongest,
Yeah.
greatest, most powerful Aes Sedai. More powerful than Nynaeve, more powerful than herself. She did say that. And so when I read this,
Yeah.
and Rand is almost mocking her puny, untrained power,
But
I was
yeah.
hoping that
something was gonna
something would
yeah.
happen, because Rand has had these untrained episodes of greatness
He has.
that we can assume have been because of channeling the power.
Like bolt of lightning to blow up the side of a building greatness.
Right.
It's like not insignificant.
No.
Right?
And so I was a little bit hoping that something huge was going to happen
Like
here.
just like struck with a lightning bolt through the eyes or something.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
And that's kind of sad, but that's okay, I
Yeah.
guess.
You have to also look at this as there's a system to this magic where the magic isn't a get out of jail free card.
No.
You don't just get to do things because you want to, unless
You're Rand.
you're Rand.
Right, which is bullshit. Bullshit.
But might be important.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure Rand is important, Brett.
Maybe. Hey, 74-point-something% of this
I just
book.
didn't like the way he was like so condescending
I know,
about
and I
it.
get it. I love Egwene because she's trying.
Yeah.
And that's like right her to a course. She's not going to back down.
Yeah.
She's going to throw something at this guy.
Yeah.
But it's also time to run.
Yeah. So Rand grabs her arm and makes her run into the trees with the rest of them. And Aegonor turns his attention to Egwene, not to Rand, which is a little bit interesting in the writing.
Do you think that Aegonor's like sensing her trying to do something?
Yeah, sensing that she can wield the power.
And he's going to teach her a lesson?
Maybe. Or maybe she's the one he was looking for.
Okay.
Doubtful,
That's
but
it. Yeah, that'd be a twist.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
And Rand throws a rock at him. Sure.
Better idea than a knife.
Yeah. And the rock just like turns into dust halfway to the Forsaken's face, but just enough time so that Egwene is lost in the trees. And Aegonor walks as if not affected by what Moiraine is doing at all, and it is in the writing that Moiraine is straining with all her might.
Yeah.
Rand turns and starts to run away, and behind him he can hear Moiraine scream, and that's the end of this chapter.
Yes. So.
And it's been a while since we read this. We've had a lot going on, and that's all I've read.
I know, and this was the biggest cliffhanger here that we've gotten, I think, probably in the book. because this is like middle of an action fight sequence with 3 chapters left in this book.
Yeah, I can't even hold my book open. I have to put a weight on it to hold it open while I'm typing my notes because there's like such a dinky amount of pages
There's
left.
nothing left.
It's so close. I actually can't believe we've made it this far. And I'm so excited to read on because...
I'm excited for the next chapters as well.
Yes, because next chapters we're going to do 51 and 52 together.
No matter what, we're going to do it.
No matter what, we're going to do it. Even if it takes us 3 hours to get through them, it will be one episode.
Yes.
I'm already disappointed about the 42-43 split.
Yep.
Because we were supposed to finish this book in 45 episodes, and that would have made me happy.
Just for the, nice round number.
And now it's not going to happen that way. Not that 45 is a particularly nice round number, but it's a multiple of 5, I suppose. I like that better.
Yeah. But anyways, let's talk about predictions.
Okay.
Because we're here at the end of the book.
Here we are at the end of the book, and I'm still making these like wild predictions as if there's still like 500 pages left.
Yeah, and we have less than like 30 pages, I think.
Yeah.
So we know that they're at the Eye of the World. The Eye is this giant pool of the essence of Sidene. We've got one Forsaken here left because the Green Man took one out, which is pretty awesome, pretty badass.
Yeah.
And everyone's scattering, and Moraine seems to be in a not so good situation because Lan is essentially
gone,
down for the count. Yep. So what do you think is going to happen here? Do you have any wild predictions to throw at me?
Well, the only thing I've been waiting for this book has been the Rand channeling and reaction moment.
Gotcha. Because if he doesn't figure it out from what we hear about the women's half.
Yeah, or maybe he figures it out before that happens. Because we just got a channeling moment, but his reaction has become closer to his channeling moment every time.
Yes.
And that essentially just happened an hour or two ago.
Yeah.
Or a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
And so if there's a reaction or if there's another channeling event that he figures out before then, I don't know if that's going to happen in this book.
Okay.
That's my only prediction is that.
Do you think that we're going to lose any characters at the Eye right here, this book?
I have to go with no.
Okay. And what's the rationale behind that?
Gut instinct.
Okay. Well, we got the 3 boys. We got the ladies from Emmonsfield.
We got Loyal,
Moraine, and Lan.
Man, imagine Loyal getting back to his steading to tell them that not only did he meet the Green Man, but he watched him die.
They would probably all be pretty mad at Loyal.
They're going to be so mad. They're going to think that Loyal caused that to happen.
Well, to be fair, if it wasn't for Loyal,
none of this would have happened.
They'd all be dead in Camelin.
Oh my god.
Or like just outside of Camelin.
Yeah. No, I have to go with no.
Not lose.
No.
So, do you think that they're gonna somehow escape from Agenor, or do you think that Agenor is?
No, I just predicted that Rand's gonna defeat him.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you didn't say that.
Well, Rand's gonna figure something out. Okay. Something's gonna happen.
Okay.
And
so it's gonna be Rand, not like Moraine/Lan.
Maybe a collective, maybe a coming together.
Do you think some of like Perrin's wolves are gonna join the fray?
No, I don't think there are wolves in this green split. Hey, what happens to the green place when the Green Man dies?
That's a really good question.
Well, they're still in the trees, and they weren't evil trying to get them.
Yeah, the Green Man's place realm is not a blighty place.
No, even though it's smack in the middle of the blight in this scenario anyway.
So the Green Man dying, is that going to cause the blight to be able to like finally get in?
Well, the Forsaken got in.
Yes,
so
that's true.
Probably.
They're more sentient, I would assume, than like the trees or the worms.
Yeah.
They're like people.
Yeah.
Right? So
okay, so I'm going to stop this because I could go on forever with random crazy ass predictions.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop it. I'm going to say that this is the end of this episode.
All right, you're cutting us off.
I'm cutting us off. I'm going to read on. And
2 chapters. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and this is part of the pattern now.
Part of the pattern.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Wheel Weaves. If you're interested in bonus content, cool stickers, shoutouts, access to exclusive insider looks, and to support us making great content, you can head over to patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. You can find us on social media where we love interacting with our listeners. We're on Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast and on Instagram at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. You can also join the conversation on our Discord channel. There is a channel for no spoilers that I have access to, and we also have a spoilers channel that Brett controls, so fun for everybody. There will be a link on Twitter and also over on our Patreon page. You can check that out. Please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. This really does make a huge difference. Plus, if you want to tell a friend about us, maybe someone who is just getting into the book series for the first time, or other longtime fans who you think would enjoy us, word of mouth is the best way for us to reach new listeners, and we would take it as a really huge compliment. Thanks, as always, to audionautics.com for the music, and thanks to you awesome listeners.